Okay, hello and welcome back. It's that time again. Live streaming, continuing with Heart of the Woods. I'm blanking on what to say next. I'm just, frazzled. I start my new job tomorrow, so I'm a little nervous. If I stream again before next Sunday, it will probably be Tuesday, because I'm supposed to be working Wednesday. Not quite sure what hours, because I'm supposed to have orientation before I start actually doing my assigned hours, and I don't know what that means for Wednesday, because Wednesday's going to be my long day. So I don't know if I'm going to be there early Wednesday, or late Wednesday, or all day Wednesday. I'll find out probably tomorrow. I still have Sundays off, so I'll still be able to stream on Sundays. Unfortunately, I don't have Thursdays off, but that's on me for not being more picky about which hours I apply for. So it's a temporary job. I doesn't specify how long it's supposed to last. It says seasonal, so I'm assuming until after the new year at least, because this is the time of the year when people are sending presents, and then of course they're buying shit with Christmas money or whatever holiday they celebrate. So I'll find out. So Heart of the Woods. It's basically at this point we're following two paranormal investigators, a la Ghost Adventures, I guess, who are just looking into supposed paranormal activity in the back end of nowhere at this point. They barely have internet, and I don't think they even have cell phone service. So we're on their second or third day, I can't remember which. And so we've met this character, and we haven't yet met this character. I'm hoping that'll happen today. So yeah, we're still on chapter 1. And also yesterday was my birthday, so I'm now officially in middle-aged, I guess you could say. I forget what happened. Ooh, history. Oh, right. Because Maddie, the character we're following, we're playing from her point of view, went back to their cottage that they're staying in for a month, and the mayor and the mother of the woman who invited them here showed up to talk to her. So yeah, okay, let's go back. I sit in silence for a while, unsure what to make of it all. So Morgan's own mom thinks she's as ridiculous as I had suspected the whole time. That's pretty damning. Though I doubt it will change Tara's mind about anything. I'll have to let her know when she comes home. I stand up and head for my bedroom, passing by the chair that Evelyn had been sitting in. As I go, for a moment, I swear that I feel a breeze, frigid and cold. But the moment the thought crosses my mind, the sensation is gone, like it was never there. Shivering, I return to my warm bed and laptop and to a long overdue break. Hours later, I hear the sound of the front door opening and closing. I peek out of my bedroom, worried that it might be the mayor letting herself in again. It's just Tara, though, alone. It's been a few hours since we parted ways, and I'm not as annoyed with her anymore, so even though I'm kind of tempted to just put in my headphones and ignore her, I get up and head into the living room. She stands at the sink, flipping through a notebook. I knock on the edge of my door frame as I enter so that she can hear me coming.
Hey.
Rather than looking at me, she keeps reading her notebook. Well, pretending to. There's no way she could actually be reading as fast as she's turning the pages. I decide not to call her on it. No point in starting another fight.
How'd it go?
About the same.
Is that good or bad?
Right? She doesn't respond. She must really be upset about this morning. It's not like she's being unreasonable. Now I've had some time to rest and recuperate. I felt kind of bad about being so harsh towards her and Morgan.
Morgan's mom came by earlier.
That gets her attention. She shuts the book and turns around. Gotcha.
Really? What for?
Just wanted to introduce herself. I told her a bit about who we are and what the show's about.
What did she think?
I don't know. She didn't really say much. She was really weird. Like in a different way than Morgan. She seemed really intense, I guess.
What I mostly remember is how she was blurring the whole time. Never seemed like she was anything other than angry about something. Some people, they just have faces. They have what's called resting angry face. Smugly, Tara holds up the notebook she was just perusing.
I know you're gonna call BS, but Morgan was telling me a lot of stuff about her mom. Like, some seriously crazy stuff. You wanna read it?
She offers me the notebook. It hangs limply, a giant frown in the air. She used that thing for so long, it's lost all its rigidness. I shake my head.
I'll take your word for it.
I've heard enough crazy stuff from Morgan for one day. I don't need to hear theories about how her mom is actually the spawn of Satan or something.
Figured. Make any progress with the new vid?
Not really. We're gonna need more footage before there's enough to really get started.
That mean you're coming with us from now on, or what?
Yeah, I will. Sorry for being bitchy earlier.
Again.
Don't sweat it.
She strikes a pose.
Just make sure to bring your A-game.
I roll my eyes, but I'm smiling. Even though we bicker a lot, I'm truly grateful that it's always easily patched up.
Yeah.
I can't promise that I'll buy into a word of what Morgan says, but the least I can do is try to be polite about it. The tension resolves, Tara yawns and flaps her notebook at me again.
All right, well, I'm gonna hit the hay soon. What about you?
I'll probably watch a film first. I'm not that tired yet.
How many times can you watch 2001 without getting sick of it?
I don't know, but I intend to find out.
Tara and I each head back to our bedrooms. As I go, I feel a bit better about everything. Just because I'm quitting the show doesn't mean I want to lose Tara as my best friend. We've been friends for over a decade, so of course we've had our disagreements and arguments. I think the longest we've ever gone without talking was a month. Still, over the last 2 days, it felt like we've been coming dangerously close to saying something that goes too far. Either one of us. And thinking back on today, I can't really pretend I'm not the one who was mostly at fault. Even when I'm aware that I'm losing my cool, sometimes it feels like it's hard to stop. Tara totally has it coming though, at least some of the time. From now on, I will be better. I won't let myself be as obnoxious as I can talk, I can read. Obnoxious as I was today, for everyone's sake. I climb into bed and set up my laptop, getting comfy. In the dark with my headphones in, it doesn't take too long to immerse myself in the familiar feeling of a film that I love. That's what I appreciate about movies. No matter the circumstances, they can help you escape. That's why I read. That's why I play games. Different strokes for different books. I mean, I do watch movies and stuff, but it's hard to get into the actual movie. I think it's part of it is just the way my brain works, my ADHD brain. I need to work on that. My eyes are getting heavy and I pull the blanket up to my chin. The computer is balanced in just the right spot to not fall off the bed. All things considered, it's a cozier setup than I could have hoped for from a cabin out here. Sure, the Wi-Fi's bad, but it gives me an excuse to catch up on my backlog. Everything's perfect to fall asleep. The sound of something knocking on my window makes me leap up. It's past midnight. There shouldn't be anyone here. Maybe it's a bird, or a squirrel, or something. From where I'm lying, I'm not able to see. Should I yell for Tara? No, not until I know what it is. If it's just some wildlife, as is probably the case, she'd never let me live it down. I mean, last time someone knocked on the window late at night, it was Morgan. Still, my heart pounds as I slam my laptop shut, killing the only source of light. Without it, the room is pitch black. Dark enough that I can't see what's at the window, but hopefully it can't see me either. If this turns out to just be a lost rodent or something, I'm gonna feel real stupid. I stalk over to the window, prepared to cut and run if I need to. Slowly, I rise myself up to eye level.
Hey.
And it's Morgan again. Morgan is pressed against the window pane, looking into my room with one hand resting against the glass.
You have a minute?
God damn it. Tension drains out of me, replaced immediately with exhaustion. I should have known. Isn't that what I just said?
You couldn't knock?
I did.
I rub my temples and sigh. She's technically correct. The worst kind of correct.
Okay, I guess I have a minute. But if you're going to come in and talk, please use the door.
Of course. I'm not going to climb through the window.
Color me shocked. I head to the living room and hesitate in front of Tara's door. Should I knock? Knowing her, she's probably already asleep. I've always been jealous of her ability to pass out instantly. I decide to leave it up to Morgan. There must be a reason she knocked on my window, not Tara's. I unlock the front door and let Morgan in. She's waiting with a thermos of coffee in her hands, like usual.
Sorry to bother you. I know it's late.
It's fine. I was still awake.
Not for much longer, ideally, but I keep that to myself.
Were you working on the video?
Nah, just watching a film before bed. Can't do much until we have more footage. And even then, I left most of my setup back in the US.
We sit down on the couches just like her mother and I did earlier. For all her faults, at least Morgan isn't as terrifying as her mom is. This is true.
Does Tara help with the video work at all?
Not really. I've tried to teach her stuff once or twice, but she's not interested in learning.
That sounds like her.
Yeah.
I'm a little put off by Morgan already, feeling like she knows Tara and what she's like. I guess that's the result of watching someone online for so long. You start to think you know what they're like, even though you only ever see one side of them. We get it a lot, sometimes used to it. Sometimes it can be a bigger problem, though. People think that they're entitled to act in a certain way because they've seen it online. Fortunately, Morgan hasn't been that way at all, yet. I do wish that she would get to the point of why she's here, though, but instead she gets up and heads to the kitchen area, retrieving a coffee mug from the cabinet without ever turning on the lights. Twists around to watch as she pours some of the coffee from her thermos into the mug and then moves that into the microwave. That's not be a very effective thermos. At least she's polite enough to make sure the microwave door doesn't slam. She leans against the counter, barely visible to me.
Tara told me that you're leaving the show after this trip is over.
Of course she did. I must have made a face because Morgan clears her throat loudly.
Sorry, was it supposed to be a secret?
Nah, it's fine. But yeah, that's the idea. I'll go back and finish school.
I see. That's a shame. I know you hate when it happens, but I've always enjoyed the moments where you're on camera.
Thanks. I'm just camera shy. Ironic, I know. She's yanked me on screen enough times that I'm a bit used to it by now, though.
Morgan hits the stop button on the microwave a second before it dings. She retrieves her coffee and returns to the couch.
But I guess that's why things seemed a bit tense between the two of you, right?
Before I can answer, she shakes her head.
Actually, sorry. That's none of my business.
You're fine. It's that obvious, huh?
A bit. You seem tense whenever I see you. That's actually the main reason I came by. I promise it wasn't just to be nosy.
I was starting to wonder.
I came by to say that I'm sorry. I know that you're also uncomfortable around me.
She says it as nonchalantly as if she was telling me about the weather. I bite my lip. I mean, she's not wrong, but I don't want to just say that.
It's okay. You don't have to spare my feelings. I guarantee I've been called worse than whatever it is you're thinking.
But you shouldn't need to be used to it.
It's just that I'd sleep better tonight if I cleared the air between us first.
She takes a long sip of coffee that should be hot enough to scald her mouth. I can't fathom how she could sleep at all, or if she even needs to anymore.
I mean, It's nothing like that. Nothing personal, really. I'm just a cynic, I guess. If it makes you feel any better, I'm the same way for pretty much every episode. You just get the behind-the-scenes experience this time.
Morgan shrugged.
I can't blame you for thinking I'm crazy or full of shit. But I can promise you that I'm not stupid.
It takes me a beat to realize that was a joke.
It's fine. I'm always the skeptical one out of the two of us, after all. There's just a lot going on, like you heard. So I'm sort of a mess all around right now. It's not your fault.
I half laughed.
At least not entirely.
She smiles thinly, seeming to appreciate my bluntness.
To be perfectly honest, you weren't really what we were expecting either.
She sets the coffee down, looking interested.
Really?
Yeah, we were prepared for someone super fangirly and like all over Tara. Like annoyingly so. Not
me.
right. Even in your email, you seemed a bit more...
I don't know how to not say this rudely. Interesting, engaging, not monotone.
More energetic?
Phew, she says me again.
Yeah, pretty much.
The emails that we had exchanged back home had a lot of smiley faces, exclamation points, and other cheery touches. In person, however, seeing Morgan smile at all is a rarity on its own.
That makes sense. I wasn't trying to trick the two of you or anything. It's just easier to be open like that online, I guess.
I hear that, Morgan. I hear that.
I understand.
That much, at least, I really can empathize with.
I know that you don't know me, and that so far, I haven't given you any real reason to trust me or believe me. But I hope that you'll at least give it a chance. Paranormal is really important to me. I've been a fan for years. But I'm not the type of person who would invite you to the middle of nowhere just to meet Tara. I invited you out here for a reason, and I'm confident in that reason. But I understand that you'll need more proof than that.
I wait to see if she has more to say, but that seems to be it.
Thank you for telling me all this, though. I really do appreciate it. And I'm sorry for being so dismissive. It'd be nice to be wrong for once. So, I hope that we do find all that stuff you talked about. I really do.
Tomorrow night, I was going to show Tara around the woods a bit. Would you like to come along?
Yeah, I'll be there.
I don't especially like the idea of wandering the forest at night, but I can't exactly say no after I just promised to be more agreeable. She nods and takes a careful swig of her coffee. Then she stands.
Cool. Anyway, that's all I had to say. I'll get out of your hair now so you can get some rest.
She heads for the door and throws it open without waiting for a response. The temperature plummets right away and she turns back.
Thank you for listening. I appreciate it too. But just so you know, I'll prove you wrong.
She closes the door and disappears into the night. We head to the appointed meeting spot right at the turn of the hour. Even during the day, the forest felt hostile and foreign, but now at night it's downright scary. Each rattle of a branch is a demon's footsteps. Every gust of the wind is a monster's breath. I stand close to Tara, treading backs of her feet several times.
I think this is supposed to be the place.
I look around the area. It's indistinguishable from the rest of the woods. My only comfort is a tiny pinprick of light that represents our cabin, back at the forest's edge. A feeling of dread creeps its way up my spine. What if this is a trap or a setup? Maybe Morgan's just lured us out here into the middle of nowhere and is waiting out of sight with a knife in hand or something. Considering we traveled thousands of kilometers to get here, if this was a trick, we fell for it hard.
Maybe we're early.
I know that we're not. Tara sweeps the flashlight around, illuminating a few identical trees before the light's beam peters off into oblivion.
Maybe we should just go back.
Light passes over Morgan, suddenly a meter away from us.
Ah!
Tara drills backward, crashing into me. The flashlight plummets to the ground, bouncing once before stopping. Whoops! I keep my balance, barely, and catch Tara's arm to stop her from falling.
Are you okay?
Short term? Yeah, but I think I just lost 10 years. What about you, Mads?
I'm fine. What on earth were you doing?
Me? I was waiting for you.
Where? Didn't you hear us?
Just over there. Sorry, I had headphones in and missed you.
You were just standing in the dark? In a forest? Wearing headphones?
Yes? Why?
At a loss for words, I can only shrug. Does hanging out alone in the dark, in the middle of nowhere, not register as weird for Morgan? Apparently not.
He just spooked us is all, no worries.
She stoops down and retrieves the flashlight from the snow, drying it on her sleeve. She brushes off the snow the same way she brushes off Morgan's actions.
Anyway, it's all good. What now?
Morgan turns and faces the trees, shining her flashlight across them.
I thought we could walk around a little. It might help you to get a better feel for the area.
Okay. Okay. Hang on. Sorry, got a cord caught under my chair. Okay. Alright, I'm good. Behind Morgan's back, Tara and I exchange a look of concern. Tara gives me the slightest of shrugs. I'm still reluctant, but I nod. If Morgan's planning to kill us, it's not like it'll make a difference whether she does it here or in the forest, and I'm pretty sure she's not a murderer anyway.
Sure, lead on.
Morgan sets off without another word, and we follow just a couple paces back.
Are we going somewhere in particular?
Not really. I doubt you want to go too far this late at night, right?
Right.
That's fine. We'll stick to the edge then.
As we walk, Morgan keeps her flashlight pointed straight ahead in the direction that we're going. Tara, on the other hand, swings hers around, looking up trees and out into the abyss. She and I only brought one flashlight with us, the spare sitting in one of our suitcases back at the cabin. We're currently went behind, just on the off chance that we somehow get separated.
So, did you learn anything useful today?
Not really. We went around town some, but
But most people didn't really want to talk.
yeah.
How'd you know?
That's how it is around here. People are mistrustful.
I was kinda surprised by that. Figured with how out of the way it is here that we might have been, I don't know.
Treated like celebrities?
Hey now, don't project. But something like that.
It's more like they isolate themselves by choice. We have internet and TV. It's just that lots of people choose not to use them. I'm guessing they probably had some not so nice things to say about me too, right?
Neither Tara nor I respond. Our silence lasts a beat too long.
It's okay. I'm used to it. You don't have to pretend or anything.
Light shines in our faces as Morgan turns around, half smiling.
Hey, you two don't need another assistant back where you live or anything, right?
My mouth flops like a fish while I try to think of a diplomatic response, but then Morgan laughs and faces forward again.
Just kidding.
She's opening up a little, that's a good sign. We trek on in awkward silence. I'm not even sure what we're supposed to be doing or looking for. We're just wandering in the dark, trusting that Morgan knows how to get back to the cabin. It's cold and my feet are sore, and I'm once again regretting coming to Eisenfeld. I gently tug Tara's sleeve right by her elbow. When she looks at me, I silently gesture back towards where we came from and shrug, hoping she'll get the message. Now, she smiles back, and I nod. She gives a worried look over towards Morgan, who's now slightly farther away. Tara holds up 5 fingers. 5 more minutes. Sighing, I nod again. We hurry to catch back up with Morgan.
Something wrong?
Oh no, Maddie, had something in her shoe.
Oh,
It's hard to tell if she buys it. I wouldn't. Mentally, I'm counting backwards from 5 minutes, already imagining the comfort of my bed and blanket back at the cabin. How I'm going to survive a whole month of this is an issue for future me to worry about.
I got lost out in this part of the forest once.
3 minutes and 32 seconds. 3 minutes and 31 seconds.
Don't worry, though. I know my way around now.
Yeah, they mentioned something about that.
I step on Tara's foot again, this time totally on purpose.
I thought they might.
Her tone is still completely nonchalant. At least Morgan seems impossible to offend.
It's too bad it looks like it's going to snow tonight. We probably shouldn't stay out too late.
Thank God.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I'm sorry this was so disappointing. I'd hoped that there would be more to see.
What exactly were you expecting? It's the middle of the night.
Come on, Mads, it's about the atmosphere. It's way spookier out here when it's dark.
I know, that's half the problem.
We can turn back now if you'd like.
Before I can agree, Tara shakes her head.
Nah, let's give it a couple more minutes. You came out all this way for us after all.
I glare at Tara, but I think she misses it. I've lost track of my countdown, too.
Whatever.
The small, apologetic smile that I barely noticed does little to assuage my discomfort. We traipse aimlessly through the snow for a while longer. I stare at my feet more than at the path ahead, simply following the footprints left behind by the other two. So I nearly slam into Tara, who's come to a complete halt yet again.
What now?
I saw something.
You did?
Tara, stop messing around. Let's...
No, I mean it. I saw something.
I shut up. I can tell by her tone that she's serious. She saw something, or at least she thinks she did. The three of us turn and face the way she is. It's even deeper into the forest, barely lit by the moon.
There was a light.
Someone else walking around?
There shouldn't be anyone out at this time of night. It's dangerous to be in the woods once it gets late.
And yet, what are you doing? I ought not to not point out the obvious hypocrisy. Is that what I just said?
It was probably moonlight or something.
It wasn't the moon, Maddie. There's something out there.
Both of them point their flashlights in the direction Tara's looking. Aside from more trees, there's nothing to be seen.
Tara?
Maddie,
She grins,
this is what we're here for. Come on.
and off they go. Tara breaks into a run, leaving Morgan and I behind in surprise. We exchange a look before Morgan runs off after her. I have no choice but to go, too. The regret is almost instant. Cold nights pierce my lungs with each heavy breath. I'm not in the best shape to begin with, and the snow and boots don't make things any easier. The only consolation is that we're running in a straight line, so it won't be hard to follow our path back. Every so often we pause to catch our breath. The pace is catching up to Tara, too, who has to fight to keep her smile on. Morgan seems unfazed by it all. I'm about 3 seconds away from demanding that we give up when I see it. Way off in the distance, too far to identify the source, is a light. Da-da-da! It sparkles and glimmers like a star that fell to earth. I fall silent, the words stolen from my mouth. Then Tara points, stating what we already know.
There it is!
Buoyed by her second wind, Tara runs off again. This time Morgan and I are close behind. We follow the light, which sometimes blinks out, but soon reappears. I'm too focused on not slipping and falling to give much thought as to the source. There's no telling how long or how far we've been going. Somehow the light never seems to get any closer or farther away. It's like it's running from us.
Hey, wait up!
Tara yells out in the darkness. Whatever it is can understand her, it ignores her. Of course it does. Running is quickly becoming difficult. My lungs burn from the cold, and my breathing turns ragged after barely a minute. Tara pulls further and further ahead from Morgan and me, her one-track mind fixated on that light. After a bit longer, I hit my limit, and my pace slows back to a walk, then a stop. I fold over, hands on my knees as I gasp for breath. Morgan crunches to a stop just ahead too, turning back towards me.
Are you alright?
I try to respond, but I'm breathing too heavily to be able to talk. I just wave my hand, gesturing for Morgan to go on ahead without me, but she doesn't.
Are you sure?
I force myself to stand and nod.
I'm... fine.
In the murk, Tara's become a disembodied light herself. Only the flashlight's glow visible. I watch it bounce to a halt, then slowly make its way back towards us.
You guys give up too easily.
How are you not dead? I haven't seen you run in years.
That's 'cause you never hit the gym with me.
I don't know if she's joking or not, and I'm too worn out to care.
So, what was that thing? Do you think it was your forest spirit?
Morgan's eyes widen.
You believe me?
Tara shrugs.
I'm considering it at least. I mean, what else could it have been?
Fairies.
She has a response ready. Morgan says it very nonchalantly. I side-eye Tara, who is very interested in her boots.
The forest spirit doesn't really make a light like that. At least, not that I'm aware of.
Right, that makes sense. Doesn't it, Mads?
It was probably someone from the village.
But as I said, I know how unlikely that is. The way the light seemed to always maintain a precise distance was unnatural. I can feel the seeds of doubt being sown in my heart.
But it was definitely strange.
Tara looks at me with more pride than a rainbow flag.
Hey, holy shit! That's practically canon in Maddie terms.
I roll my eyes, but it's partially just for show. I'm curious at the very least. I haven't called myself a believer, as much as Tara wishes, but that's two strange things so far, which is two more than expected when I boarded the train out here.
It was strange. That's as much as I'll...
A yawn overtakes me in the middle of speaking. It doesn't help the pain in my lungs.
Oh, guess it's past your bedtime, huh?
I kick some snow at her and it bounces uselessly off of her pants. The way we've been bouncing with each other really does feel a bit more like old times. Make that 3 strange things on this trip so far.
We should begin heading back anyway. We can't go much further in before I'd be lost too.
You still know where we are?
Yes, of course. We'd be in trouble if not.
Duh. She has a point. I got so caught up chasing the light that I lost track of what direction we'd come from.
I'll show you around more tomorrow. There's something you might like to see.
Yeah? What is it?
A surprise. We'll go tomorrow before it gets dark. It's a bit of a walk.
Does it have to do with whatever that light was?
I have no idea. It's possible.
Story of my life. Okay, well, we'll call it quits for tonight and pick back up tomorrow?
Yeah, I guess.
That's fine by me.
Great!
She hops forward, then pauses.
Guess you ought to lead the way.
Morgan smiles as she does just that. It takes us only 15 minutes or so to reach the cabin. We must have had a lot of time to our trip with all the wandering we did. Morgan bids us farewell at the door, which I barely return before stumbling inside. I'm halfway out of my booth by the time Tara's inside.
Guess you're not staying up late then.
I'm out like a light the second I hit the bed.
Tara grins, just briefly.
Right.
My hand is on the doorknob when Tara clears her throat.
Hey, thanks for, you know, chasing after that thing. I appreciate you playing along.
My hand lingers on the door, poised to turn.
Yeah, of course. Let's see what we find tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. Right. Good night.
Night.
Quickly step in and then shut my bedroom door before Tara can say anything else. As I switch off the lights and crawl into bed, I remember the end of the train ride here. I felt the same just now, standing there not knowing what to say. It would be so easy. I banished those thoughts from my mind and wrenched my eyes shut. There will be time to worry about it tomorrow. I have time to think. We have a month. As I slowly drift off to sleep, the exhaustion I feel weighing out over the stress, last thoughts I have are of dancing lights in the snow. Okay. Save. We start to fall into a bit of a routine. Every day, Tara and I will get up and explore Eisenfeld and the surrounding area a bit. We never go too far into the forest, but just enough to set some dramatic camera angles or to film some monologue segments for Tara. Once Morgan's done with work, she'll join us or show us around. Sometimes she brings her cat with her. Surprise, surprise, it still hasn't said a word. She keeps promising it eventually will, though. Ever since the night we saw the light in the trees, we've hoped to encounter something equally mysterious or interesting. No such luck, though. Any sort of hope or excitement that I had, any bit of belief that I'd allowed myself to build up, has been squashed back down to resigned indifference. My trademark, I know. It took about a week of this before Morgan asked us to wait for her at the cabin, saying she was finally ready to show us that thing she mentioned. She still wasn't any more forthcoming with what it was, but over the week we'd known Morgan, I'd gotten a little more comfortable with the idea. If she was gonna leave us in a shallow grave or something, she'd had plenty of opportunities to do that already. The heavy clouds overhead promise a darker night than the past few, and probably heavier snowfall. We won't be able to stay out very late. Even with Morgan's guidance, the possibility of being caught in a snowstorm is hard to ignore. Tara paces back and forth outside as I linger in the doorway, trying to enjoy the warmth from the cabin for as long as I can. Finally, a fashionable 15 minutes late, I spot Morgan heading down the trail from the village towards us. Tara zips off to intercept her, and the two of them approach together.
Hey, sorry I'm late. Work was a little busy tonight.
No worries.
Well, that answers one of the myths of Eisenfeld that I cares about, whether or not anyone ever actually shops at Morgan's store. Tara bounces around between the two of us, ready to get going. Morgan smiles approvingly at her.
So, you said you had something special planned for tonight, right?
She spent the whole day trying to guess what it is.
I think I've narrowed it down. It's either a crashed UFO, the Fountain of Youth, or Elvis.
Those are the ones you narrowed it down to?
Someday, Mads, it's gonna be Elvis, and you're going to wish you'd believe me.
I don't know why Elvis is considered supernatural. I face Morgan, pointedly turning away my back to Tara.
Anyway, we're ready to go if you are.
Do you both have flashlights? We're going to be heading a bit deeper into the woods this time.
We both hold up our lights in unison. After our first venture to the forest together, there's no way I'm ever going out there without each having a flashlight. Just having one makes me feel more self-reliant. It helps suppress my anxiety a little bit. Just a little.
Great. Follow me.
We circle back around the cabin and head into the woods. Into the woods we go.
I've been waiting to show you two this since you got here. You're going to love it.
Tara starts to vibrate again, clearly soaking up the suspense. As much as I hate to admit it, she's got me pretty curious too. I'm not sure what she could be keeping secret out here and for so long.
This isn't going to be dangerous or anything, right?
Probably not.
I like those odds.
We set off at a fairly brisk pace. Tara makes it a point to walk right by Morgan's side, taking short and hurried strides. If she doesn't find out where we're going soon, I'm pretty sure she might actually explode.
Okay, I'm gonna keep guessing. Ancient graveyard, fairy circle, satanic ritual, Sasquatch den?
Close. It's a church.
Tara stops dead in her tracks.
Wait, a church? Was Maddie right when she said you were gonna try to get us to join a cult?
I never said that.
I might have said that. Despite our antics, Morgan never stops or slows down.
Nothing like that, I promise. It's really old. Older than any of the buildings you've seen in Eisenfeld.
Interesting.
The people who built it are ancestors of the residents today. I guess they were what you'd consider pagans. They worshipped a god of the forest.
Whoa.
I expect more to the story, but that seems to be Morgan's stopping point for now. She focuses on the path instead, swinging her lantern around in an arc as she looks for whatever it is that's telling her where to go. Every single tree around me looks identical, but I guess one of them is a little more special than the rest. When she sees whichever one that is, she starts to lead us on again. My glasses start fogging up a bit more as we walk. I should have insisted that Tara layer up a bit more. I'd be a pretty crappy friend if I let her freeze to death out here.
So, to summarize, your great-great-whatevers and the rest of the villagers built an old church out in the forest to worship a giant forest spirit, and that's what we're going to see right now?
Right.
Have I mentioned that this is going to be the best episode of the show ever?
Morgan's got Tara hanging on to her every word, hook, line, and sinker. I'm glad she's having a good time at least. No, thanks to me.
You said it's older than the rest of the village. Do you know how old?
Centuries, at least. I don't know how many. I've done some research on the history of Eisenfeld, but none of the books really mention it.
How'd you learn about it then?
A lot of it comes from old journals, or other documents left behind by the people who used to live here. Parts of it are passed down as family legends, too.
The image of Evelyn and Morgan sitting cozily by a fire while Evelyn tells stories is one that I can't imagine actually happened. I'm not going to pry into the details of that, though.
You think we could take a look at those journals sometime? Maybe we could show them off on the show. Authentic first-hand accounts, or something like that.
For some reason, now Morgan stops looking ponderous. I also realize that it's starting to snow. Just barely, but enough to make me bite my lip and watch the sky.
I'd be happy to show you.
Score! You're seriously the best. Like, thanks for doing all this.
It's nothing really. Don't all your hosts do the same?
A lot of them only stick around for the first day or two. Then once they realize there's a lot of filming and setting up behind the scenes, they get bored.
For all her issues, I can't deny that Morgan's been a much more gracious and helpful host than we're used to. We walk in silence for a little bit. All the while, the snow continues to fall, getting heavier and heavier. First, I try to ignore it, but it's hard. Like always, it seems it'll fall to me to be the responsible one.
Hey, Morgan, are you sure it's safe to keep going? It's starting to snow pretty hard.
Both of them look up as if they hadn't noticed.
Oh, you're right.
Now it's Morgan who turns around and looks back the way we came. I can practically hear the gears turning in her head. Tara watches, looking anxious. Oh, so she only worries if Morgan starts to look uncomfortable.
It's going to get bad pretty soon.
She says it so matter-of-factly that at first the severity of her words don't register. Then every single alarm bell in my head starts ringing.
What? How soon is pretty soon? And how bad?
I'd say within the next half hour. Those clouds don't look good.
That's an understatement. They seem to be moving almost impossibly fast. Just like that, the weather's gone from a light snow to the start of a blizzard.
We need to turn back then. Back to the cabin.
I take a couple steps, but the fresh snow has made it harder to walk. Even the trail that we just left has been partially obscured.
We're closer to the church than the cabin. I think we should go there and wait it out.
Wait it out? What if it doesn't just pass by? What if we're stuck there for days?
It's better than being dead, you know.
I turn to her in disbelief.
No shit it is!
Morgan wrings her hands, looking genuinely distressed.
I don't know what's going on. I don't think it was...
Once again, she looks back in the direction we came from, lost in thought.
We're just wasting time standing here arguing, you know. Morgan said we should go to the church, and she's the expert.
I'm loath to call her an expert at this point, but Tara's right that we don't have time to spare. We're definitely in dire straits if she's the one being the voice of reason.
Fine, let's get going then.
We don't waste any more energy on talking. We just follow Morgan as closely as we can. Light from her bounces in the wind, reminiscent of the light we followed just a few short days ago. I focus on it, using it as a beacon since it's easier to keep track of than Morgan herself. I bury my face into my scarf as much as I can, feeling the wind push against me and making it harder to walk. By now, the world around us is starting to grow more and more blurry. It'll be a whiteout before long. My heart beats hard in my chest as my anxiety starts to skyrocket. The music is helping with that too. Gosh, it's good. And I liked all the snowflakes falling on the street. That's really cool. We keep walking, huddled closer together as we press on. Tara keeps a brave face, but she's shuddering more with each step. Morgan and I push a little closer to her, hoping to shield her from the wind as much as we can. Because of course Tara wasn't sensible and didn't stress for the weather. When we get back, if we get back, I'm not letting her take another step outside until she agrees to start wearing something warmer. After what feels like years, we come to a stop. My legs are leaden with the effort of marching through the snow. I'm afraid that Morgan's going to say that we're lost, but then I realize that we've arrived. Just ahead, a huge stone building stands tall. For its supposed age, it looks remarkably intact. The howling winds buffet it, but even from here it looks infinitely safer than being stuck out here. A pair of massive wooden doors loom before us.
Just give me 1 second and I'll get this open.
She grabs a hold of the door and starts to pull. The freezing wind works against her, and for a tense moment I worry that she wouldn't be able to get them open. But then with a creak that's audible even in this weather, they slide open to let us in.
After you.
We don't need telling twice. Tara and I hurry inside, with Morgan letting the door slam shut behind her as she follows. The first thing that strikes me is the temperature. An old stone building in the middle of a blizzard should be frigid, but it's not. In fact, it's almost warm.
Mads, we hit the jackpot!
Her shout reverberates around the massive chamber, leaving a faint echo in its wake. When Morgan said a church, I figured it would be some small wooden shack with a tacked-on steeple, but this... Tara's flashlight beam dances wildly along the walls as she spins in circles, trying to take in every last detail all at once. This is nothing short of incredible. I let my light drift as well, but slowly enough that I can actually take the time to process what I'm seeing. The whole interior is remarkably well preserved. A few broken pews, a couple pieces of collapsed stone, and a layer of dust on nearly every surface are the only things that make the place seem anything less than brand new. Looking closer at the building itself, I can see various flourishes or designs decorating the walls and railings. Whoever built this place, they built it as a labor of love. The centerpiece is a massive stained glass window that dominates the center of the far wall. Its brilliant colors form an intricate pattern. I make my way over to Morgan, who's currently watching Tara dart around the building with a small, satisfied smile. It dissipates as I approach. Even though I'm relieved to be out of the storm, I can't believe we ended up in this situation in the first place. Before I can say anything, though, she beats me to it.
I'm really sorry about this. I truly am. If I'd thought the weather would turn so foul, I'd have never suggested we come out here. The last thing I want to do is place you and Tara in any danger. I just wanted to show the two of you something tangible. Something different.
I swallow my harsh words. Chastising her wouldn't do us any good. Plus, she's right that the weather changed way faster than I would have expected, or even thought possible. So I just rubbed my shoulders, trying to massage some warmth back into them.
Don't apologize yet. There's still plenty of time for us to die of starvation or something like that.
I think it's more likely that we die of exposure first.
That's true. Well, that's reassuring. Only a beam of light swipes across my face. I can turn Tara on the other side of the building.
Hey, come check out these books!
Morgan and I both start to head over.
By the way, how do you keep it so warm in here? I was looking for a heater or something, but couldn't find one.
It's magic, I think.
You know what? I'm not even gonna argue. Tara's waiting excitedly next to a stack of books. That's probably a first. Says a lot about Tara right there.
Check it out!
The wooden shelves are warped and damaged beyond repair, but have still retained their shape pretty well. Books that line them are in a similar condition. When I remove one, its one soft cover is cold and rigid, and the text has faded into illegibility. But flipping through the pages, a few of them are still readable, or at least would be if I could understand the language.
Tell me these aren't filled with ancient incantations or something.
These aren't filled with ancient incantations.
She holds up a book to her face and blows a puff of air towards me, filling my face with dust. I wrinkle my nose, coughing and sputtering.
Hey, what the hell? You don't know what's floating around in here?
You're literally the only person alive who could be in a haunted church and not care at all.
She never said it was haunted, you know? And I'm sorry that I'm still a bit too shaken up over, you know, almost dying in a snowstorm.
Psh, we weren't ever in any real danger, I'm sure. Isn't that right, Morgan?
Actually, I wasn't sure we were going to make it here.
Tara's eyes widen, the reality of the situation hitting her at last. Then she grins.
That makes this an even more badass story for the vlog. Mads, you'll have to go hard on the wind sound effects. Maybe we should set the camera outside, get some footage of the blizzard?
Yeah, and lose the camera. She hurries over to where I had abandoned the camera on one of the pews and picks it up, dancing around as she frames mock shots. I open my mouth to tell her how dumb that is when a trickle of dust spirals past me. The whole church shakes with a slight tremor and more dust is displaced.
Earthquake?
That would be the icing on this cake. It'd also be horrifically ironic if we survived the blizzard only to die in a freak earthquake. I have no idea where this is supposed to be set, in terms of actual geography. But earthquakes are caused when, the tectonic plates of the Earth's crust, shift against each other. So unless the village is near the edge of one of these plates, it shouldn't be an earthquake at all. Something tells me that's not what this is, though. It's another tremor, slightly stronger this time, and with it a distant boom, like someone shooting a cannon in the forest. The three of us exchange a glance, silently. For once, even Tara is silent. Boom. See, we're still in chapter 1. Winter Wonderland, get your paranormal on, second opinion, premonition. The stained glass window rattles. I hear Morgan second a breath. When I look at her, her eyes are wild and confused. The thunder sound is getting closer. Then there's another sound, a blistering crack that I recognize as the tree splintering. No winds, no matter how strong, should be able to do that. Wordlessly, Tara heads over to the front doors. Though my first instinct is to call her back to hope, by hope is safety, I find myself more curious than afraid. Actually, the winds here where I live can get so strong that they can knock trees over. I don't know if you actually hear the wood splintering when that happens, but I've seen footage of a tree that came very close to actually crushing a car underneath. But I guess the way it broke, it held it just less than an inch above the hood of the car. So the car was perfectly intact, but the tree was hovering over it. But that's very much an outlier. Most of the time the wind just tosses the branches around and nothing else happens. I mean, we have a humongous pine tree in our front yard, and it stood strong against winds like that for decades. I have to know what it is. I have to see it. Morgan lingers behind us, unsure of what to say or do. Tara reaches the doors and presses her shoulder against it. She pushes the door open just a crack, or at least she tries to. But the terrifying wind catches and rips the doors all the way open as if presenting the scene before us. I struggle to comprehend what I'm seeing. Tall, taller even than the trees, stands what I can only describe as a monster. Oh, wow. A chill just went down my spine. I don't know if it's from the slow reveal, which was freaking amazing, by the way, or if it's just because it's a little nippy today. I wonder. That looks so cool. I love that slow reveal. That is awesome. Two enormous, luminous red eyes peer out across a black expanse of the night sky. Neither the howling wind nor the biting snow seem to affect it at all.
Oh my god.
That's not possible!
This can't be happening. This can't be real. My legs are about to collapse under me. My heart drops like a rock in my chest, and every heartbeat sends a rush of blood through my body, so strong it drowns out the cacophonous storm. Tara fumbles with the camera, her hands shaking violently. Cursing, trembling, she struggles to lift it up to her face, repeatedly losing her grip as she tries to focus on the thing in front of us. I don't know how she can even have the presence of mind to do that. I did think of that. Briefly, I was like, who has the camera? Where's the camera? That's right, Tara had the camera. My thoughts are a blur as my mind does its best to process what I'm seeing. It's like the forest itself come to life, like a whole mass of trees just uprooted themselves from the ground to form something that can't possibly exist. Branches twist and contort into each other. One tree splits into 10, wood rotting into decay and growing anew again, spin from the impossible red center. Two immense horns pierce the sky, looking like lightning bolts permanently imprinted against the clouds. Every thought that I can manage to form is fleeting. Every rational part of me tells me that what I'm seeing shouldn't exist, that it isn't possible. Yet here it is, undeniable. All I can do is stare. The red glows brightly, burning my eyes, like it's staring right back at me. Maybe it is. The beast shuffles forward, its feet obscured by the forest below. With each movement, there's another massive echo. Trees crackle and snap beneath its immense weight like twigs, flattened to nothing and buried under the snowfall. Oops. Slowly, the beast slumbers off into the night and is swallowed from sight by the darkness. Soon, even the sounds of his footsteps fade, too. Not sure how long Tara and I remain in petrified silence. I realize I've fallen to my knees, so I have no recollection of it happening. I feel like I have no recollection of anything, that nothing will ever make sense again. At some point, Morgan comes to my side, helping Tara and I back indoors. My whole body is numb with either shock or the cold. Perhaps both. She leads us to one of the benches that's mostly intact. I collapse down onto it, my legs still unwilling to support me. I glance at Tara. All the color is gone from her face, and she's still trembling. I probably don't look much better. For a long time, none of us know what to say. We sit and wait until long after the snow has stopped falling and morning arrives. Chapter 2, finally. I don't say a word on the way back to the cabin. How can I? How do you vocalize the knowledge that your core understanding of the world just turned out to be wrong? It feels like the ground beneath my feet dropped out from under me. My steps are unsteady and I feel nausea come up like waves. My head pounds hard. I've always prided myself on my healthy skepticism, but I can't deny what's right in front of me. My thoughts scramble to find some way to explain it, some way that I can piece it together in a way I can understand. But it's hopeless. Tara is still struck mute. I'd expect her to be bouncing off the walls, to be unable to calm down. After all, this is what she's been after for years, ever since we started the show, ever since she first had the idea for the show. Now that we've finally actually found something, neither of us know how to react. I mean, it's one thing to think about it, to imagine it, to picture it all this time, but to suddenly be confronted with it, especially if you've never believed it was going to happen. Yeah, that's going to be mind-blowing. It's going to take a while to process. She keeps playing the short clip she recorded over and over again, watching it until the battery runs dry. A lot of it is unusable due to the snow and her shaky hands. But there's still a few seconds of clear, uninterrupted footage. Her ratings are going to go off the charts. She's going to have to prepare for endless barrages of questions and accusations of doctoring the footage. This will mean interviews, national news, maybe even a book deal. Nothing will ever be the same again. But all we can manage is silence. Morgan's the only one who seems somewhat calm, though even she's a bit shaken. She's the one who coaxes us to leave the church and start heading back to town. It's the obvious thing to do, yet somehow the suggestion sounds like a crazy idea that I would have never come up with myself. All of my thoughts are mush. No thoughts, head empty. If it weren't for Morgan, I'm sure Tara and I would both end up wandering the woods in total shock. I could barely manage a slow stumble as I fall from way behind. Thick, fresh snow impedes the path. The blizzard subsided, but the harsh winds bite at my exposed skin. It all feels like too much.
Maddie, are you okay?
It takes me a few seconds to even register her voice, and a few more to realize she's looking back at me with genuine concern.
Yeah, I'm fine.
My brain screams to ask for help, and my body feels moments away from collapsing. But what kind of help could she give me? I can only focus on reaching our destination. Morgan looks like she wants to respond, but instead resumes her trek forward, this time moving at a somewhat slower pace. After a while, the faintest light in the distance comes into view. The cabin. Our light, our refuge in the darkness. Tara's pace quickens to a near sprint, like she had been waiting for this moment. She rushes and crosses the distance, disappearing inside. Morgan walks alongside me. She opens the door, following inside behind me. I feel a sudden pang of guilt over how much I've disregarded her before now. Especially since she was actually right. That's the forest spirit, I think, that Maddie mentioned before. Not Maddie, Morgan. Maddie is who we're playing. Morgan is their host. As soon as I reach the couch, my legs give out from under me and I fall onto it like a ton of bricks. It isn't until I hit the cushions I realize I nearly crushed Tara, who was already collapsed next to me.
Sorry.
She doesn't say anything. She might not have noticed. I thought that getting back to the cabin and Sage would renew her enthusiasm. She should be running circles around me, screaming, "I told you so." Everything about her whole existence has just been validated. But she's just looking down at the ground without saying a word. Her bangs obscure her eyes, making her face unreadable. Her chest rises and falls in an odd rhythm. Then I realize that just like me, she's still trembling. The monster silhouette flashes through my head again, huge and terrifying, the red light shining down to the very center of my being.
Here, this will help.
She sets 2 glasses of water down on the table in front of us. I didn't even register her coming over here. Tara clears her throat and leans forward.
Thanks. Seriously.
They're the first words that she's spoken in what feels like hours. She manages a small sip, but most of it dribbles down her shirt. I don't even reach for my glass, knowing that my hands are just as shaky, if not more. My entire worldview was shattered. It's going to take more than just a walk in the snow and a glass of tap water for everything to sink in.
How are you not freaking out? Have you seen that thing before?
Hang on. Rolled over the cord for my headphones.
No, that was my first time as well.
She doesn't answer the other part of my question. Tara continues to slowly drink her glass of water while mine remains untouched. At some point, Morgan goes into the kitchen and prepares a pot of coffee. I can hear her rummage around in the fridge and smell the coffee as it brews, but neither register beyond a cursory awareness. What does get my attention is when she sets 2 steaming mugs in front of us, hot coffee sloshing over onto her hands.
Drink this. It'll help.
I do as I'm told, lapping at the brew since it's too hot to sip. Tara does the same. Morgan sits beside her on the couch, draining her own mug much faster than we do as she gazes out the window. Okay. How can she stand the hot coffee? I mean, it sloshed onto her hands. And she reheated that other coffee till it was super hot and didn't have any trouble drinking it herself. What is going on here? What is off about Morgan? There is something off about Morgan, about this whole town. What's going on? By the time I'm about halfway through my own, I do feel a bit better. Whether that's because of the warmth, the caffeine, or just the placebo effect, I'm not sure. Once we're finished, we just lapse back into preoccupied silence. Yet again, it's Morgan who breaks it.
I think the 2 of you should take some time to relax. I need to get home soon too, before I arouse too much suspicion. Does that work for you?
I looked at Tara, who doesn't seem to have even heard what Morgan said.
Yeah, sounds fine.
The more that I think about it, the more appealing it sounds. Right now, I want nothing more than to curl up in my bed, cocoon myself in blankets, and sleep for a while.
Okay, I'll see you later then.
Never one for long goodbyes, Morgan heads straight for the door.
I'll message you soon.
She leaves before either of us can respond. We sit. And sit. I don't know for how long. Longer than I've ever seen Tara sit still. Just don't know what else to do. So just as like to, I know we can't just, sit here forever. The knowledge that we'll soon have to return to mundane, everyday things feels unreal. We just witnessed something magical and life-changing. How could we just go back to normal life? But I know that in truth the world hasn't changed at all, just our knowledge of it. No matter how long we wait, the outside world will continue to pass us by. Feels like an eternity passes, but Tara's voice breaks through the silence. I'm not sure if I fell asleep or not, but I react at the start and my heart beats 100 miles per hour.
So, what do you think?
About which part? There's a lot to take in.
Yeah. About all of it. Any of it.
While she sits, she idly pulls on a loose thread from a blanket close by. She pulls and pulls, and it unravels even further. I don't think she notices she's doing it.
I think the main thing is that I wonder what else is out there now. Not just in the forest, but in the whole world. Are there more of those things? Or is it the only one of its kind? And how did no one ever see it before? There's just so much that I don't know how or what to feel.
As far as why hasn't anyone ever seen it before, I have a feeling there's a reason that the villagers just keep to themselves. They don't go out in the woods. Morgan's the one who goes out into the woods, but most of the people don't, and they think Morgan's weird for going out into the woods. So,
What about you?
Again, she shrugs.
The same, pretty much.
Sorry, I have an itch.
There's no way you're not gonna get that BooTube award now, you know?
It's a surefire joke. It should be an easy smile, but she doesn't react at all.
Probably not. Think I'm gonna crash. Good night, Mads.
Just like Morgan, she gets up and leaves without even giving me time to reply. There's barely 5 seconds between her saying it and her bedroom door slamming shut behind her. It's not at all the kind of response I'd expect from Tara. These are far from normal circumstances. You're telling me. All I can do now is wait for her or for Morgan. Wait and wonder. Weird. Didn't show up as chapter 2, it showed up as chapter 1. Eh. After a late night spent researching, I awakened around 11 in the morning, a good 2 or 3 hours later than I usually get up. Yeah, that's definitely a late start for me too. I usually get up around 7. The latest I've gotten up is 8 in recent memory. It's just weird for me to stay asleep. I get dressed in a hurry, not wanting to keep Tara waiting before we head into town. It would be a pretty ironic twist though, since usually I'm the one who has to wait for her to get ready after late nights. I have a sheaf of notes that I took and a hand cramp to match. I'm not sure how useful all of it will be, but it's at least a starting point. Tara's good at seeing the hidden connections and putting pieces together too. Makes for entertaining videos even without results. On the living room, a lukewarm pot of coffee and a used mug are the only indication that she's awake.
Hey, I'm up now. Slept in a little. I'll be ready to go in a sec.
Call out from the kitchen, preparing my own cup of. She doesn't. Again, louder. Most likely she has her headphones in. That or she fell back asleep.
You ready? I'm good to go. I have a bunch of notes and research too. Maybe we could go over some of it with Morgan.
Silence. She's not that heavy of a sleeper. I knock again, even harder, but she still doesn't answer. I'm predicting that Tara's not even in her room. She's not even in the cabin. I jiggle the doorknob a little bit. It turns easily. I open the door slowly, giving her ample time to yell and interrupt me. But she doesn't. Her room is empty. She left without me. I let go of my carefully arranged papers, only not really caring that much about them as they fluttered to the floor. My hand shakes, hard enough for coffee to spill out the mug and staining the pages below. So that's how it is. Whatever it is. Swallowed the lump in my throat, forcing myself to not overreact. Maybe she tried to wake me up and I slept through it. Maybe she just went out for a walk and will be back soon so that we can go into town. There are 100 different benign scenarios for what could have happened, but in my heart, I know that she ditched me, plain and simple. I go to the sink and dump out the coffee, my appetite suddenly gone. Then pick up the papers I dropped. A few are ruined beyond illegibility from the coffee, but it's not like anyone will miss them. Throw them in the trash along with the sodden paper towels that I used to clean up the spill. Gather the rest of the papers into a pile and leave them on the kitchen counter. Throwing them away feels like a waste, but I don't really want to look at them right now. I retreat back to my room and slam the door, even though there's no one around to hear it. Put on a film at random for background noise more than anything. My thoughts start to wander before the opening credits are even finished. What exactly was it that I did that upset Tara so much? Before Morgan took us to the church, things were fine between us, if not a bit tense. But I was working on my attitude, and she didn't seem bothered. And since seeing the monster, both of us have said so little. So I'm just left wondering what I did wrong. I wish that she would talk to me and at least help me understand. I'm about 15 minutes into the film before I realize that I had the French audio track playing without subtitles and that I haven't understood a word of it. Close my laptop and stare blankly at the wall, since that's the only thing I can do and not mess up right now. It isn't long before I can hear the crunching of 2 pairs of footsteps outside, as well as the low murmur of conversation. The front door bursts open, and from my room, I can hear the din of Tara entering.
Gotta be related to the stuff in the journals. There's no way they're not talking about the same thing. Just send all those pics to my email address when you can. This is gonna be so freaking good.
Sure thing.
I sit paralyzed in my bed. Should I ignore them, go out and act like nothing's out of the ordinary? Part of me wants to just hide in my room, but the way Tara and I have always gotten over our arguments is by being open about our issues. Plus, Tara would know them at the cabin, so if she brought Morgan back here, I doubt she's trying to avoid me. Maybe they came back specifically to include me. Hoping for the best, I head out into the living room. Tara's brewing a pot of coffee while Morgan leans against the counter. A few books that she must have brought from home are stacked beside her. She glances up as I enter.
Hey, Maddie.
Hey there.
Tara nods without facing me.
What are the books?
I nod at the stack. Tara sets 2 cups of coffee in front of her and Morgan and slides the books towards herself.
They're the journals she mentioned on the walk to the church. She was letting me take a look at them.
She puts emphasis on the word me, like she's the only one who's allowed to. Maybe that's the case. This isn't off to a great start.
I see you picked up a coffee habit too, huh? Morgan's really rubbed off on you.
Yeah.
She turns to face Morgan, being sure to exclude me from what she says.
Okay, we can chill in my room. Might want to grab one of the spare chairs from out here.
Oh, okay.
It's a small consolation, but I can tell that even Morgan feels a little uncomfortable with the situation. She gives me a sympathetic look, but doesn't say anything. Just why is Tara acting like this? If she would just tell me, we could work it out. I stick out an arm, halting Morgan as she carries a chair across the cabin.
Tara, can I talk to you for a sec?
The two of them exchange a look, but I can't tell what it's supposed to mean. Then she shrugs. I gesture towards my room and she follows me in. I shut the door.
Can you please, tell me why you're mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
I scoff.
Whatever you want to call it, why are you treating me like this?
Like what?
I can already feel myself starting to get angry, but I try to keep it under control.
Please don't play dumb like that. You barely talked to me for 3 days, you ditched me this morning, and now you're going out of your way to exclude me. I don't know how to interpret that as anything other than mad. I have no idea what I said or did to piss you off, so I don't even know what to apologize for.
Tara runs a hand through her hair and looks around my room. It's the first time she's been in here since we arrived in Eisenfeld. This morning was a carbon copy of hers, so I don't know what's so interesting about it.
I'm not mad, I'm just not wasting your time with this stuff anymore. I can take it from here.
I'm not quite sure I heard her right.
Sorry, what?
I said I can take it from here.
Take what exactly?
The vid. I mean, you're quitting anyway, so I've got to learn how to do all this on my own, right?
But that's not...
I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, kind of makes sense, but it's still... Tara could have at least said something along those lines before simply doing it.
Why not ask me at least? Or even tell me? That's so screwed up.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I said.
How do you figure? Every day since we've got here, you've talked about or at least shown how you don't want to be here. You even said it yourself. You had to make an effort to be less bitchy whenever we go out. So, now that there's a solid lead, I can figure out the rest of it myself. Or at least with Morgan's help. If you want, I can buy you an early train ticket home or something. Next one should be coming through in a day or two. You don't have to keep pretending to care.
The whole time, her tone never changes. It's flat and emotionless. I wonder if that's another result of Morgan's influence. I wait, expecting there to be more. Hoping that there's more. There isn't. I stand there, dumbfounded. Tara shrugs again and then leaves, closing my bedroom door behind her.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's get those journals.
I can still hear her talking to Morgan through the wall, bright and chipper. My legs feel weak all of a sudden, and I collapse onto my bed. Though, through everything, my own misgivings and concerns about my future, choosing to quit the show, telling Tara about it, and even witnessing the monster at the church, I've managed to keep my composure. But for the first time in I don't know how long, I can't stop it any longer. I cry. all this feels so unfair. Of course I didn't want to be here. It's been a waste of time. Every single other time. I get it. I was a skeptic, the non-believer, only humoring her and all her exploits and playing as her foil. I rained on her parade constantly. And now, after everything that's happened, she was right. I can't deny that. But why does that mean I don't deserve to be involved with it now? Maybe she took my leaving personally, even though I swore that wasn't the case. I was only doing what was right for me. I needed to move on and do something with my life. So is it really my fault that meant I had to stop playing around with paranormal stuff? After these past couple days, I'm even starting to reconsider that. Maybe staying on the show wouldn't be so bad. Once the episode goes live, everything will be changing. But now, I don't feel like that's an option. Like she'd even want me there anymore. I feel like everything in my life has changed in just a few short days. Like I'm lost at sea without anything to hold on to. My best friend in the whole world is at the epicenter of it all, and I'm thousands of miles from home. Through the walls, I can faintly hear the sound of Morgan and Tara discussing whatever it is. Not nearly loud enough for me to make out any words, but enough to be reminded of my exclusion. I wonder if Tara knows how upset I am, or if she expected me to be grateful. Neither would surprise me. I cry until my eyes are dry and sore, but I don't feel any better. The walls of my bedroom feel claustrophobic, and the vague sound of Tara talking is insufferable. I hurriedly bundle up and slip out of my bedroom and out the cabin to get some fresh air. The cold is just barely more manageable today, but still preferable to the atmosphere inside. It stings my wet cheeks, burning reminders of my unhappiness. I pick a direction at random and start heading into the forest. As long as I don't make any twists or turns and just go in a straight line, I won't be able to get lost. If I've learned anything from reading about people trekking through a forest, you can't go in a straight line. Though with that creature wandering around and flattening trees, it may be easier. After what I've seen, the woods feel especially hostile now. I wonder what else could be lurking in the shadows or farther amongst the trees. Countless possibilities that I'd never considered are suddenly plausible. But for once, I don't hesitate. I just walk, my feet automatically stepping over roots and other forest debris. Underfoot, the snow is slushy and messy. My head feels the same. My heart hurts. Everything hurts. My nose burns from crying, the cold only exacerbating the effect. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? I just feel lost. I reflect on this show and on the years I spent with Tara and wonder how it all came to this. The show had been her idea, of course, but I was the one who encouraged her to go through with it. She'd always had a flair for the dramatic, whether it's a school play, her old blog, or even the over-the-top fanfic she used to write. I'd always been there to support her, whatever it was. Go over her lines with her and help her rehearse, or even edit her fits. When she first had the idea for paranormal and combining her two biggest interests, cryptids and herself, I was the only person who said she should go for it. I even came up with the name, which I'm still pretty proud of. Yeah, paranormal, that is pretty good. At first, I thought it would just be another entry in a long list of harebrained ideas that Tara would start and quickly lose interest in. I gave it 2, maybe 3 episodes tops before she got bored. But the reception was good and the views started coming in. So did the ad revenue and the sponsorships. What had started as a weekend hobby turned into a weekend responsibility and then into a day job. My role went from holding a cheap camera and stitching together the footage to actually learning proper video editing and investing in decent equipment. It seemed only natural that I be the one to handle all the invites, fan mail, inquiries, and more, the professional side of things. I put my life on hold for the show, quit college halfway through my film studies degree, and moved out of my cheap student housing. I gave up my barista job and the store manager promotion I'd been hoping for. I dropped everything in order to help Tara make the best show possible. Sure, it wasn't like I had it rough. Tara's always split the royalties with me and pays for the expenses herself. The two of us have done pretty well for ourselves, better than we had any right to expect. But at the end of the day, it was still always about Tara. Her name in the title, her name on the contracts, her name in the fan mail. Tara, Tara, Tara. And when it's all over, When the final episode someday goes up and she moves on, she'll be able to take that name with her anywhere. That success, that popularity. And all I'll have is the memory. The more I dwell on it, the more unfair Tara's behavior seems. I can feel anger overcoming my sadness. How could she say I'm only pretending to care? I gave up years of my life for her and dedicated them to making her look good. Without me, she'd have never been able to balance running the business side of the show while actually making it. Hell, she's not even close to being tech savvy enough to do what I do. Part of me wants to spin around right now and go back to the cabin and demand an apology. But I know how that would go. She'd just get defensive, and even if she did say she's sorry, she wouldn't mean it. It wouldn't actually fix anything. We'd just be back to where we started when we first got to Eisenfeld. Awkward and tense. There isn't really a good solution that I can think of, but I have to do or say something. I can't just leave things as they are. Her offer for an early trip home lingers in my mind. I'm sure she'd make good on that promise. It sounds pretty tempting, too. In less than 3 days, I could be comfortable, warm, and back in my own bed. I'd never have to think about Morgan or Eisenfeld or forest spirits or weird churches or floating lights again. Could just move on with my life, the same way I've been planning to once I get home anyway. As I think that, though, I know it's not really an option. I'd never be able to live with myself if I let it all go unresolved. 2 piercing red eyes shine in my memory, and I know that there's no way I'd be able to forget about them. Remembering the monster makes me stop and take stock of my surroundings. I've been walking at a pretty good rate, unhindered by the weather and fueled by my bad mood. There's a small clearing just up ahead, and it looks like it might be a good spot to take a short break. It's not very big, I realize when I reach it. I could toss a stone from one side to the other. It doesn't feel as stifling as the rest of the forest, though. I clear my throat. It's not the only noise I can hear. The sounds of the village don't travel this far. They barely reach the cabin for the most part. Overhead, the sky is crystal clear blue for the first time that I can remember. It's still freezing, but it isn't cloudy. Not even an airplane or vapor trail disturb the tranquility. I rub my eyes and defog my glasses. It must look like a real mess out here. I do feel a little bit better, though. Fresh air alone has helped to clear my head. The snow underfoot is well trampled from my stomping around, and mud mixes with the slush to form a thin paste that sticks to my boots. If there was somewhere to sit down, this place would be perfect. I might do with leaning against a tree that's mostly dry. I'll need to remember how I got here. It'd be nice to have a place of my own to retreat to when I need it, away from the other two. Just as I'm enjoying the tranquility, there's a rustling sound overhead, and I look up just in time to get a face full of snow as it slides off the branch. Whoops. Perfect timing. I cough and splutter, wiping away as much of it as I can, though a lot of it still falls into my clothes. I flap my jacket like wings, trying to knock it out. Right then, from the corner of my eye, a quick motion catches my attention. It's gone too fast for me to notice more than a glimpse of fabric, and I turn around to see who it was. But there's nothing there, and no sign of anything having been there. Heart pounding, I walk over in the direction I came from, looking for footprints or something. There's nothing. I rub my eyes. Maybe it was the snow, messing with my vision. Snap! The harsh, unmistakable sound of a branch breaking cracks behind me. I spin around, expecting to see Tara there with a dumb smile on her face for having spooked me. But again, there's nothing. I pull my coat tighter around myself and press my back against a tree.
Hello? Is someone there?
My voice resounds through the clearing, but goes unanswered. Again, a flash of movement from the corner of my eye. This time I'm sure I see it, a glimpse of purple, darting behind a tree. I start towards it, hand reaching, but without a clear plan in mind. Just like a dog chasing cars, I don't know what I'll actually do if I catch it. I walk into the middle of the clearing, turning in a slow circle, hoping to spot whatever it was.
Can you hear me? Hello?
It already knows I'm here. There's no point in trying to hide. Snow crunches off my left and I pivot, just in time to see a girl disappear behind yet another tree.
Hey, wait!
I may as well not be saying anything for all the effect it seems to have. I hurried to the tree where I saw her, but she's gone. I'm just running in circles, chasing after who knows what. My heart beats like a kick drum. A million possibilities race in my head, each more fantastic than the last. Maybe she's from the village. Maybe I imagined her. Maybe she's another forest spirit. Maybe she's the same forest spirit we saw before in a different form. It's entirely possible. Any of them could be true. I've seen now that nothing is impossible. I look all around, searching for a clue and finding none. This is a bad idea. I know. Every single fairy tale I've ever read warns that this is a bad idea. Chasing after mysterious girls in the woods never ends well. She could be luring me to her secret lair, or could even be a disguise for some kind of terrible monster. Maybe it's a forest spirit come to exact revenge for trespassing in its territory. I should turn and run and race back to the cabin. If I told Tara and Morgan, I'm sure this is the kind of thing that would override Tara's annoyance, at least for now. It could be our chance to patch things up, pursuing some new mystery. Or I could not tell Tara, and I could solve the mystery myself. Whatever it is. For the first time, something happened to me that doesn't involve Tara. I could keep it that way. My hand is trembling, but I reach out in the direction I last saw the girl, more as a sign of openness than anything else.
Are you still there?
Silence.
If you can hear me, can you let me know?
No response. My fingers close over empty air. This is stupid. I feel like an idiot, talking to no one. If she wanted to be caught, she would have let me, I'm sure. But then, if she didn't, then what was the point of even showing herself?
I'll come back tomorrow, okay? If you'll be here again.
It feels desperate. It is desperate. But I can't let this chance go, not when this could be all I have. The light breeze blows through, as if to answer. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I stand there, hoping for another sign. As I give up and turn back towards the path home, I see it, for just a split second. A bright pink light, crystal clear and the color of a sunset, flashes just once. So let's do that again. Did you see it up here? Did it go back and let it and... Doop. It's the same as the one we chased through the forest several days ago. My breath catches in my throat, my muscles tighten, poised to follow, but my common sense overrides. As much as I want to, I can't just go running off into the forest on my own. I'll probably never find my way back. I swallow. If it can understand me like it seems to, then I'll see it tomorrow, once I've had more time to prepare. I face the direction the light came from, even though it's gone now.
I'll be back tomorrow. I promise.
Dun dun dun. Morgan and Tara never noticed me come home. They might not have even noticed that I left. I don't make any efforts to talk to them. I'm still too angry with Tara. Instead, I spend the rest of my day in my room, watching films or reading. All the research I'm so eagerly working on is put aside, stuffed into a folder that's out of sight on my hard drive. I have my own project now, my own lead to explore. The thought of that light and the mysterious girl in the woods stays on my mind through it all. Even late into the night, I can hear that Morgan's still over in Tara's room with her. At some point, the sounds go from conversation to something else. I turn up the volume on my computer. They can do whatever they want. It's well past midnight when my eyes finally get heavy enough to sleep. The next day, I head straight to the clearing without telling anyone, nearly 24 hours to the minute since I left it. From the thick clouds overhead, I could tell it's going to be a short trip. Still, I have to go, at least to see. My heart thumps with anticipation and more than a little nervousness. It's an odd mix. I force myself to keep a calm demeanor and not get too worked up. It's difficult. I'm hopeful, but I don't know what for. I don't have a camera or even my cell phone. There's no way I could prove anything that happens. And it's not like there's anyone who could vouch for me, say that I saw what I saw. For now, it's important that I keep it that way. This encounter, whatever it may be, will be mine and mine alone. Arriving at the clearing, I brace myself for what I might find. Nothing's changed. I'm met with silence. There's a faint sound of trees rustling in the wind, and nothing more.
Hello? Are you out there?
I give it a moment, waiting and hoping for a response that never comes. Maybe it really was my eyes playing tricks on me. The light could have been a reflection of the sun, and the girl could have been... There's no doubt left in my mind that the girl was there. There's no way I didn't see someone. Frustrated, I kick at some of the mush on the ground. It splashes up and splatters my legs.
Are you there? I'm waiting. Please.
I feel like a fool. I'm playing with someone that may or may not exist to manifest. If someone had told me a week ago that I'd be doing this today, I'd have laughed at them. Everything about this situation is unlike me. My irritation builds up. With myself, with Tara, with the stupid ghost light, with everything. Whatever was there is gone now. And really, what kind of an idiot convinces herself to come back for an imaginary date with a weird breeze? Clench my fist, looking without seeing. Slowly, I turn circles, hoping for something, anything. I traipse back and forth at an increasingly desperate pace, not really sure what kind of clue I'm searching for, but just knowing that I can't sit still. If I sit still, then I'm giving up, and if I give up, then I really don't have anything left for me out here. For the second day in a row, I feel the sting of tears in my eyes, and I pinch my eyes shut to stop them. Not here. Not today. I hold my hand there and suck in a deep breath. The cold air stings my throat. I steady my breathing, fighting back the urge to cry. After a moment, once the urge has passed, I lower my hand and open my eyes. And she's there. Oh, she's pretty. Looks a little like Morgan. The hair is lighter, but she still has the green eyes. So silently and so suddenly this, like she was never not there. The mysterious girl stands before me, barefoot in the snow, but seemingly unfazed. She regards me with a curious look, her eyes wide, like I'm the one who's out of place. Now that she's here, right in front of me, I realize that I don't know what to say.
Hello?
Good fallback. It's all I could muster. My voice comes out weaker than I expected. Her eyes go wide at the word. Her lips move, but no sound comes out. She mouths something else again, still without a voice.
I can't hear you.
A frown. She turns away. Have I disappointed her? Is she going to disappear again?
Please don't go!
I don't know why I want her to stay. Something is clearly different, unnatural. This isn't a normal girl. That's exciting in and of itself. The girl turns back around and faces me again. She looks just as confused as I feel. There's a nervous sort of energy to her. Beneath the gown she's wearing, far too thin for the weather, the girl's legs are tense and ready to bolt. I take a step towards her, holding out my hand the same way I'd approach a kitten or a lost puppy.
My name's Madison. Can you understand me?
She still looks a bit nervous, but nods. So we speak the same language. That's good. Is she from Isabel? Can't imagine she's from anywhere else. There's nowhere else around.
You were talking, right? Just a bit ago. But I couldn't hear you.
Another nod. That means that for whatever reason, her words can't reach me. Maybe she's naturally mute, or maybe her voice was magically stolen. Every idea that comes to mind is more ridiculous than the last, but I consider them all equally. To my surprise, I'm able to remain calm, and by my standards, pretty level-headed. It seems like the girl is more afraid of me than vice versa. I drop my hand down, offering a handshake. She stares at it for a moment, maybe expecting it to turn into a snake for me to shoot magic bolts from my fingers. When neither of those happen, she gingerly, slowly reaches for my hand. It passes right through me. Her fingers glide through the palm of my hand like a breeze disappearing into the air. It's a ghost! Woo! With a sad smile, she looks down, seemingly expecting this result. Horrific realization slowly dawns on me, with the same tinge of certainty that guided me out here. This girl isn't really here in the same way that I am.
You're a ghost.
A slow, sad nod. She looks apologetic about it, for inconveniencing me with her lack of a corporeal form.
I'm sorry.
The words feel weak and inadequate, and nearly like a non sequitur. But really, what do you say to a ghost? Right? She shakes her head vigorously, hair flying about, trying to rid herself of some bad thought. She gives me a big smile and stretches her arms wide, turning about to gesture to the trees around us.
What is it? I don't understand.
The girl bites her lip, wondering how to better convey her message. Then with a decisive nod, she points at me and then points at the ground between us. Pausing a moment, she holds that pose, then she points at the trees, in particular the path I'd come from, and shakes her head. A flash of fear knives its way under my skin. Is she threatening me? She definitely doesn't look like it.
Something about where I came from?
She nods, then repeats the pointing, first at me, then at the ground.
Me? Right here?
Another nod.
You're asking if I'll stay here?
She nods and claps, hopping up. Except she doesn't come down. She hovers there as if suspended by invisible strings, and slowly lowers herself back to the ground. I like how they use the sprite to convey what she's doing. I'm not sure if it's what she was going for, but I smile.
Are you showing off?
She laughs and nods, glad to be understood. She's blushing.
I can stay for a bit, sure. If you want me to, I mean.
The girl practically zooms the short distance between us, moving with what might be supernatural speed. She stands so close that her gown phases through me, uncomfortable in its lack of sensation. And then she nods again, this time solemn and hopeful. I can't fight the feeling that she could easily be setting some kind of trap or leading me astray, but I still don't get the impression from her. So I agree.
Okay, I'd be happy to, but I can't stay for too long, or Tara will start to wonder where I am.
Tara again. For the first time since we arrived, I was able to fully push her from my thoughts. I was so overwhelmed by meeting this girl that Tara didn't even register on my consciousness. But now, there she is again. She's more haunting than the ghost. The ghost in question mouths Tara's name, one of the few words I can actually lip read.
The person I came here with. She's, back in the village.
The girl's eyes go wide and she points in the direction of the forest and makes a dragging motion back to where we are. This one's easy to understand.
No, she's not coming here. She has no idea.
For the first time, I'm glad the girl can't speak because it means she can't ask me to elaborate. I don't want to think about Tara right now.
Anyway, were you here yesterday too? Watching me?
A nod, wholly unapologetic.
I thought so. I also thought I might be crazy though. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised by either one.
She looks surprised. I wonder if she knows about the other supernatural occurrences in the forest. Maybe they're connected somehow.
The other day, my friend and I were out in the forest.
Nod.
And suddenly, there was this huge snowstorm. Out of nowhere. And we saw this giant thing.
I stretched my hands to indicate how enormous it was. But if the enormity of the terror are impossible to convey.
I don't even know how to describe it. It was a monster of some kind. Like a huge tree had come alive and was walking in the snow. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not only does the girl nod, but she laughs, finding something funny about my story. I'm not sure if I should be worried or not.
So you've seen it. Is it, like, evil?
A firm shake of her head.
That's good. It was honestly the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
After that, we taper off into silence. Well, I do. I don't have a reason to believe her. So far, she doesn't seem threatening at all. I have a hard enough time holding up my end of a conversation under normal circumstances. This just makes it even harder. The two of us just stand there, looking at each other. Now that she's not moving around so much, I'm able to get a better look at her. She seems to be around my age, if not a bit younger. Her hair is long and slightly unruly, reaching well down her back. She reminds me a bit of Rapunzel, all alone in the forest. A cute bow midway helps keep her hair in place. Her wide eyes are curious, but slightly sad. Still, she smiles so easily, but I wonder if I'm just imagining the sorrow. You're not imagining the sorrow. Green as emeralds, her eyes kind of remind me of Morgan's. I was so taken aback by her sudden appearance and, well, ghostliness, that at first I didn't realize. She's beautiful. Her choice of attire makes a lot more sense now that I know she can't feel the cold. The gown she's wearing has a few dangling threads and scuff spots, which I assume haven't changed since she died. I shudder, trying not to think of my own mortality. What was it like? Why is she here? Instead of whatever usually happens when you die. Does she know what she's missing? An afterlife or lack thereof? a million questions about her life and about life itself. So much what I want to ask, but it's impossible. Plus, we've only known each other a few minutes. It feels like that would be rude to ask right away. A thick snowflake lands on my cheek, starring me. I've pretty much forgotten about the weather. Overhead, the clouds are getting worse, and the snow is starting to fall more heavily. As much as I want to spend more time with her, I really don't want to be caught out in a blizzard a second time.
I need to go back now, but will you be here again? I'd like to see you again. If you'd like that too.
She nods emphatically with a grin to match. I can't help but smile in return. It's nice to know that someone is looking forward to seeing me.
Okay, I'll come back as soon as I can. I promise. Although, I'm not sure when the weather will let me do that. On the next sunny day, I'll be there, okay?
She nods.
Okay, I'll see you soon then. I hope.
The girl waves goodbye as I turn to leave, remaining in the center of the clearing. As I get my last look at her, I know that I'm not imagining the sadness in her eyes now. I glance behind several times on the walk back, each time expecting her to have disappeared once more. But she stays there, waving until the trees obscure her from sight. Splash of purple fabric against the brown and white of the forest. A little spark of light to look forward to. With almost every step I take, I cast a glance behind me. I keep expecting to hear the crunch of snow or spot of flash of red hair as Sarah follows me, but there's nothing. I am alone. I hurry through the woods practically on autopilot. Less than a week ago, I'd have never set foot in the forest on my own, but now I already have the path to the clearing memorized. It gives me extra time to worry. What am I even doing? Everything about this situation is extremely not me. Heading off on my own into a dark forest without telling anyone to go meet up with the ghosts. Even thinking the word ghost still makes my heart lurch. I've seen her with my own eyes, and yet I still have trouble believing it. And I'm just trusting that she's not going to lead me to her lair and suck out my soul or something like that. I feel like Gretel, and I'm not even cautious enough to leave a breadcrumb trail. But still, I keep walking. There's something exciting in being on my own and doing something without Tara. I can't remember the last time I had a secret from her, at least not a big one. Not telling her about the ghost girl feels a little bit like rebellion. I feel like I deserve something exciting that's all my own. She and Morgan can go do whatever. I doubt Tara will even notice that I'm not around. And even if she does, it's something that she needs to get used to. I've tried to show her how to cut a video or frame a shot lots of times. It's her own fault if she still doesn't get it. Just like it's her own fault that she's missing out now. As I approach the clearing, I slow down a little. My usual trepidation overtakes me once again as I contemplate just how reckless this is. There's absolutely no guarantee that the girl isn't dangerous, that I'll walk out of these woods alive. Normally I chastise Tara for following her gut instinct, which dictates probably 70% of her decisions. Yet that's all I have to go off right now. I have a feeling that I'm safe with the ghost girl, that she won't harm me. Across the threshold of trees into the clearing, just like the other times, it's serenely quiet. Even my past footsteps are gone, erased by the wind or snowfall.
I'm here!
Somehow I feel like she already knows. The forest follows my words, returning to frozen, pristine silence. Silently, she steps out from behind a tree. A small smile sits on her face, though her eyes are slightly downcast. She waits, meeting my eyes for just a moment before glancing away.
Hi there.
My words hang in the still air.
Were you waiting for me?
We lock eyes again, and she nods, quickly, earnestly.
I hope it wasn't for too long.
She shakes her head and then she laughs. I'm not sure what the joke is, though.
What? What's so funny?
When she catches her breath, she bites her lip as she ponders. After a moment, she shrugs, looking apologetic. I guess explaining a joke through gestures would be difficult. She settles up next to me, and I fight the urge to step back. Though I've decided to trust her, my instincts still belie my nerves. But what she seems to be most interested in is the bag slung over my shoulder. She simulates opening the bag so that she can see into it.
Nosy, huh?
Immediately she backsteps, waving her hands in a frantic, apologetic motion.
Sorry, I was just kidding. You can look.
She regards me like a timid deer as I hold the bag open for her to see. Inside are a couple books I picked up in the village this morning. I hold up the first one, small and square and baby blue.
I got a really strange look from the person who runs the bookstore because of this one. It's a book of baby names.
Her eyes go wide and she grabs at her belly then points at me. It takes me a second to understand what she means, and for some reason I feel my face flush.
No, I am not pregnant. But I thought maybe you could use it to show me your name? If it's a name that would be...
Before I could finish my sentence, she zoomed back over to me, all sense of personal space once again discarded. She clasps her hands, a fiery look in her eyes, and hops up and down. Frankly, it's adorable.
Guess you're a fan. Okay, cool.
She eyes the book hungrily. She must be really excited to share her name with me. Excuse me. It's a little exciting for me, too. It's nice to see someone so happy about being with me. I fight to keep an overzealous grin off my face.
Okay, let's see.
I look around. Aside from trees and snow, there isn't much. I wonder if there's something about this place in particular that the girl likes.
Is there somewhere nearby where we could sit down? It feels a little weird to just keep standing.
Finger on her chin, she ponders. Then she turns and points towards the woods, even further in. I can tell from the look in her eyes that she's uncertain. I swallow a lump in my throat. I've come this far, after all.
Sure, that's fine. Lead the way.
She does so, but never gets too far from my side. Every few steps, she glances over at me as if she's making sure I'm still here. I'm gonna save. That feels a little backwards to me, but in a nice way. I don't really feel compelled to break the silence either. Of course, part of that is because any conversation would be one-sided. But also, she looks content, like she's just happy to be here. I am too. The silence doesn't feel vast and overwhelming like it has with Tara. It feels warm. Tara. Before too long, I realized what our destination is. This is nearly the same path that Morgan took us down like just a couple dusks ago. I recognize some of the more grotesquely warped trees.
We're going to that church.
Eyes wide, she nods, probably surprised that I know of it.
One of the villagers showed it to us a few days ago. Me and my friend.
It feels weird to just call Tara my friend. Usually if I'm talking to someone about Tara, they bet her. The girl just nods yet again. As we reach the edge of the trees and the church itself comes into sight, I look around for traces of the monster we saw days before. There are none to be seen, though. No snapped or toppled trees. No footsteps as deep as I am tall. Much like the girl beside me, there's no trace of its existence. I look over to the door of the church, where she's patiently waiting for me. Once again, I fight back all my fears and hesitations and head for the door, too. It's too late to turn back now. The door is still slightly ajar from our visit days ago. A thin trail of snow powders the entryway, but otherwise the church is dry. It's still unnaturally warm. I wonder if that has to do with the girl, too. From the way she walks, I can tell she's familiar with the place. She heads to the front, stopping just shy of the altar where she turns around to face me. Being back here is a little unnerving, and I slowly approach her. Though she hasn't given me any reason to be suspicious, the image of those monstrous eyes is ingrained in my memory. But this time there's no howling wind or earth-shaking footsteps, just the one girl waiting patiently. I give her a smile as I sit down on one of the pews near the front. It's hewn from stone, smooth and rigid. She takes a seat right beside me. So pretty. Normally being this close to strangers makes me uncomfortable, but with her, I don't really mind. Part of it is, of course, the fact that I can't feel her at all, but the other part is that it feels kind of pleasant to sit together like this. I hastily push that thought out of my head. She's a ghost. Excuse me. She is literally transparent and insubstantial. I rummage through the bag and grab the book of baby names.
Okay, so, first?
She bounces up and down with anticipation as I tear off the plastic cling wrap and stuff it in the tote bag.
Is the first letter early in the alphabet?
She nods and holds up one finger.
I. L?
Two shakes of her head. She touches her index fingers together and then uses her middle finger to cross between them.
Oh, an A.
Enthusiastic nodding. I flip to the first couple pages in the book, right in the middle of the A's. The first name I spot is Amber. Impatiently, she leans over me and motions to go further back, towards the start. I turn the pages slowly, giving her time to scan. On the very first page, she holds out a hand to stop and points. She's practically hanging over my shoulder to show me. Yuri! She's so adorable!
Abigail. Your name is Abigail.
She gives me the biggest, most radiant grin I've ever seen as she nods. Gosh, how long has it been since anyone actually called her by name? I'm sure there are people who have called Abigail just in general, but to hear it being said as your name, like, excuse me, stop yawning. The store where I do my grocery shopping, one of the workers has the same name as me. So when I hear them say her name over the speaker system, I have to remind myself that's not me. They're calling her. Her joy is infectious, and I can't help but smile too.
Abigail.
I repeat it, and she looks even more joyful. A beam of light breaks through the glass window, illuminating dust motes that make it look as if she's sparkling. We lock eyes, and I feel my breath catch in my throat. The look in her eyes, pure, unadulterated happiness, is something I've never seen before. They shine with tears, the good kind. The kind that bring out the color of her eyes, the radiant kind. I didn't know I could make someone happy like this. I quickly look away, back to the now irrelevant book in my lap.
Anyway, Abigail, I had a couple questions. Is that okay?
Abigail nods.
So, maybe this is kind of rude to ask, but are you a ghost? Or are you something else?
Abigail closes her eyes and with a sad smile nods.
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure what the appropriate response to something like that is.
Then, are you from Eisenfeld?
Nod.
Do you know a girl from there called Morgan?
She shakes her head. That makes sense. I'm sure Morgan would have mentioned her before, if so.
So have you, like, been a ghost for a long time then?
I cringe a little as I ask. It seems gauche, although I'm not entirely sure what proper etiquette is for this kind of conversation. In answer to my question, she nods again.
Do you know how long?
Excuse me. I shrug. She holds up 2 fingers, then 2 fists.
200?
Another shrug and a nod.
200 years.
I murmur it to myself in slight disbelief. It could be more. I doubt she's been keeping track of every day. The world out there, the world I come from, it may as well be another planet for her.
I'm sorry.
It's incomprehensible to me. I can't fathom that much time passing, unable to talk to anyone. How lonely that must be. She's closed her eyes yet again. Though I've been interpreting her signs as serene, I wonder if that's how she feels. Betty's yes or no questions are practically the extent of what I can ask her. There's still such a gulf between who she is and what I know of her. Centuries worth of solitude.
In all that time, have you ever spent time like this with someone else?
Without opening her eyes or looking at me, she shakes her head again.
I'm the only one?
Nod. I fall silent too, my head still reeling. There are so many things that I want to ask and want to know. How did she die? Why did her spirit stick around? Does she know about the thing we saw in the snow? Excuse me. Jeez. I'm sorry I keep yawning. Why am I the first person she's shown herself to? But there's no way she could answer, and even if she could, I wonder if she'd want to. Is it impolite to remind a ghost that they're dead? It's morbidly funny to me that these are questions I have to ask myself. Tara would love this. Tara would push that thought out of my head too. Tara's not here right now. It's just me and Abigail.
Would you like me to read that other book?
Her grin returns, the moment of melancholy dispelled. Seems I made the right call in changing the subject. I shower the cover before I crack it open, enjoying that new book smell.
This is a book I read a lot when I was younger. It's about a girl who wants to be a hero, so she goes on a quest with her best friend to prove herself. It's a little childish, I guess, but maybe you'd like it?
Abigail claps her hands and nods. I have a feeling I could read the dictionary to her and she'd be satisfied, but I don't mention that. I mean, when you've been alone for 200 years, the sound of another person's voice is probably wonderful.
Okay.
And not just another person's voice, but them talking to you, deliberately interacting with you. I spilled the crease and opened to the first page.
Once upon a time.
It's a story that I could probably recite by heart. My mom used to read it to me when I was a little girl. It was one of the books that I used to learn to read. I was both surprised and excited to see that there was a copy in Eisenfeld's bookstore. I fell into an easy cadence of reading. But I'm not used to reading out loud. It starts to feel pretty natural after only a couple of pages. Like my mom used to do, I gave all the characters different voices. We don't have quite the range that Mom does, but Abigail seems to enjoy it all the same. She smiles and laughs in all the right places. It makes my heart warm to see how much she's enjoying it. Her eyes are closed yet again, but she looks quite content. As we finish chapter 2, Abigail scoots a bit closer and rests her head near my shoulder. Aww. I paused mid-sentence, surprised, but resumed just a second later. Though I can't feel her there, the sentiment is clear. Keep reading. Sometimes when I glance down, I can see that her eyes are open, reading along. Her lips mouth the same words I am. One time she catches me looking and blushes, but I just smile and continue going. After we finish chapter 4, I finally pause. My mouth is dry and my jaw is starting to hurt a little bit. I must have been reading aloud for close to an hour. Even though I stop, Abigail doesn't sit up or open her eyes. Her hand rests on my arm, and I set the book aside. Do ghosts need to sleep? That's another question I could ask, but maybe at a different time. Right now, I'm happy to let her pretend. Quietly, I hum a song. It's something from the radio, a title I can't remember, but that's always stuck in my head. I'm extremely off-key, I'm sure, but I don't care. It just feels right. When I stop, she finally opens her eyes and sits back up. As we gaze at each other, she mouths two words I don't have to be good at reading lips to decipher. Thank you.
No problem. I hope you like the story.
First she claps, and then she places one hand over her heart. I laugh, flattered, but also a little embarrassed.
I think that's all I can do today, but we should read more sometime. If you want to, I mean.
I already know the answer, but she gives me an emphatic nod all the same.
Okay. It's a promise.
She touches her heart again, and I smile.
I should probably head back to the cabin soon. People will start to get suspicious if I'm gone for too long.
Abigail cocks her head like an owl, curious.
I, haven't told my friends about you yet. It's sort of like our secret, I guess. And I want to keep it that way for a little longer.
Aww. She smiles in agreement. Okay. Alright, that's it for us. This is a good stopping point. Yeah. Okay. So now we know who the two women on the menu are. Excuse me. Let's look at extras, gallery. So here's chapter 1. So this is familiar. And then, of course, this. No variation. Okay. It's weird that we don't have that picture of Abigail and Maddie together isn't available. Oh, here we go. I think we saw a flash of this, or at least a flash of her. Nah. Okay. Okay. Thank you everyone for watching. No one actually seems to be watching right now, but if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for finding and clicking. Yeah, so if you are watching this on YouTube, please like, share, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I will be back next Sunday for sure. I don't know about Tuesday. I'm not making any guarantees because I've been having trouble feeling motivated to do other stuff during the week. But I mean, Tuesday is Halloween, so maybe I'll do a Halloween stream. But we'll see. Yeah. So I hope you all have a great day whenever you watch this, and just have fun. Bye.